just in case you missed us last week.
But what I'm saying is, when you're investing, like as I mentioned before, you got to get out what you're putting in or look for a reward from your investment. So is this relationship for growth? Is it for personal benefit?
On tonight's episode of the Melanin Mindset, we want to know who you are. So stay tuned to get into it.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Melanin Mindset if you're returning, and welcome if it's your first time. I am your girl, the Nappy Dreamer.
Good evening, everyone, and I am Kia Blaine.
And you are watching the Melanin Mindset, just two best friends having some topical conversations. And tonight we are going to be asking our viewers, who are you?
Who are you? What is your identity? What embodies you, and what makes you who you are?
Yes, we appreciate you all following us for this long at this point. And we talk so much about us and what we enjoy and what we love to do. But we really want to start to get down to who is viewing us and what makes up the viewer that we have. So we're going to talk about identifying yourself.
Yes. Marquita, go ahead and do that plug thing that we forgot to do last week.
Oh, you're so right. Listen, go ahead and like, comment.
This is a good time for whoever started watching already. Go ahead and share with your friends.
Yes, like, comment, subscribe, follow, share. That's one. Share.
Yeah. Yes.
We are on YouTube, The Melanin Mindset, Facebook, The Melanin Mindset, Instagram, Melanin Mindset _ Twitter, Melanin Mindset _ So that's all of our social media. We have been failing miserably at asking you all to do these things.
You do it so well, though. It just flows when you say it. That's how it's like. You say it. Go ahead, tell people what to do.
Oh my God. Please let us also know where you're viewing from. Now, if you're watching the playback, don't feel like you're left out because you're part of the party too. So go ahead and comment down below where you're viewing us from right now as you watch this playback. And thank you so much for being here.
Yes.
So again, we're gonna let me go back. Hold on, put that caption back up here. Who are you?
Who are you?
Like, who even are you? Like, we looked at a couple definitions. Y'all know we like definitions around here. So we looked up the definition of identity, right? Identity. So that is simply the fact of being who or what a person or thing is. So how do you identify something? It's literally by the fact of who or what that person or thing is. We really want to understand a little bit better about our viewers, what it is that makes you what you identify with or to be. Hi. We've got comments down here. People are viewing us from the living room.
Hey, everybody.
Oh, it's your godmother from Philly.
Hey, godmommy.
And we've got Valerie viewing with us. Oh, Kia, before we dig too deep, there was an idea that you had about on our next episode, gifting something.
On the 10th one.
The 10th one? All right. So do we want to drop a little plug real quick while we've got more people coming in and let them know what we're aiming for on our 10th episode?
On our 10th episode, we're going to look for who's been with us all the way through and through. We're going to have a little gift for the person who has watched every episode of the Melanin Mindset from the beginning, from our inaugural episode. So we're going to be honoring that person with a gift.
Yes, and I'm so excited about that. So I'm excited to be bringing that and sharing that with that particular individual. So let's get into it. Who are you and who influences who you are?
Yes. So a lot of us have become who we are due to a lot of factors in our life. So we were going to talk a little bit about what things kind of contributed to who you are. And I think we brought this conversation about not only our last episode, we kind of talked about you being yourself and not perpetrating another person or identity for the sake of being in a relationship. But also too, like sometimes I'm just out and about and people just do certain things and I just be wondering, why are you like this? What, like, who hurt you? What is wrong? Or sometimes it's somebody great and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like she just seems like such a good person, or he just seems like such a good person. Like, Is it because they were raised right? Is it because they grew up in a certain environment? They come from money or not from money? Like, what makes you you?
Right. Some people are influenced by their family. We talked about a few things here that we've noted. Did you grow up with a standard that you felt like you had to live up to? I'm gonna let you go
Mm.
first, Kia. Did you grow up with a standard that you felt like you had to live up to?
Well, I don't know. There are a lot of things, yes. But the first thing that came to mind was like, um, my mom always told us to stick together. So like no matter what, when it comes to me and my brother, I got my brother's back no matter what. And I'm pretty sure he'll say the same thing. So like, and it's good and it's bad. And I always tell people this, like, somebody, you could be talking to your significant other's mom or sister or something, but at the end of the day, they're gonna have their family members back. And that's something I can honestly say, like, really sticks out with me. And I've instilled in my children, like, y'all stick together. You got to have each other's back.
I definitely grew up in that house as well. My siblings
Mm-hmm.
were literally my first best friends. And then it wasn't even just about my siblings, it was cousins too. My father, he's close with his siblings. So it was only natural that his siblings' kids ended up being fairly close as well. So with that, it was almost like your cousins are like your bonus siblings. So it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't even just to only have your siblings back against everybody. You had to be in support of your cousins too, your cousin's cousin. Everybody was definitely important. So we were raised with that very, very strong pack mentality too, where the family is first, like
Yeah.
family before everything else, before any and all. But I dealt with some other expectations, not only just put family first, but I grew up in a faith based home. So
Okay.
I grew up with some standards in church that we had to live up to as well, certain behaviors or ways that you had to carry yourself. So I
Oh,
grew up with those
absolutely.
standards as well.
Absolutely. I grew up in a Christian household. I'm not gonna say we weren't Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday churchgoers, but I mean when it was important to go, we went. Um, I definitely um was a lover of the word. So even though we didn't go to church, I constantly was in my Bible. But this one standard. I'm gonna pick on my mom a little bit. Was how you leave the house. Like your hair better be done, your clothes better look neat. Like that was definitely something that was non-negotiable.
Oh yeah,
Like,
I definitely had that mom too, girl. My mama said,
mm-hmm.
when people see you, they see me. You know how on TikTok right now it's like when you see her, you see me. When you see me, you
When you
see
see
her.
me, you see
Da, da,
her.
da, da,
Yeah,
da, da, da. Right, right. That one,
yeah,
that particular TikTok. Let me tell
yes.
you, I really believe that our moms could have been responsible for writing that
For writing
initial
a
script.
TikTok, yes, yes.
Like
Don't
that's
write
where
me.
it came from. Oh my
Mm-hmm.
gosh, hi Jackie.
Hi,
Hey girl.
Jackie.
Y'all give it up one time for Jackie tuning in. Where's my applause?
Hey, Jackie.
Thank you for being with us tonight, Jackie. I can't wait to hear what she has to say. But
Mm.
yeah, so with that, when you see her, you see me. When you see me, you see her. My mom definitely instilled that in us as well. Like we are a direct reflection of what comes from my parents' home. Like a direct reflection.
Did you ever feel like with those like certain standards or things that you had growing up? Did you ever feel like rebelling,
Feel like, or did I?
or did you? Or did you? Okay, so see, I was scared of my mama, so I didn't dare while I was younger. But like now, like current day, like if I go outside and I have a bonnet on, like I feel like I'm being bad.
Right?
but but look,
Girl,
I dare not get out of the car with a bonnet on. It'll be like I'm
girl.
dropping off one of the kids, and I'll be like, I'm just put this bonnet on and these slides. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, my mom would beat the crap out of me, or she would be like, "Where you going?"
Girl, I tell you all the time about how in my family we fix the plate for our husbands. That is how we
Mm,
express love, by doing. We do that. So to anybody who got something to say about it, I serve my husband happily. The end.
mhm.
Move on, right? So we serve them their plate or bring them food or however we do it. But I'm
Okay.
telling you, it's this thing around the holidays, y'all. And do not give him a paper plate. My husband is like,
Oh,
I'll take a paper plate, I don't care. But just out of like the love she gives, like my family, they give like the nice plate, and we my the females too. But what I'm saying is there's so much focus on that is a big deal to them, being able to do that and be that blessing or gift to their husband. So they pour that into us too. Like, yeah, he can fix his own plate, but do that. That's something you do to show love. Like you bring him his plate, you fix his food. So they were like, all right, so put it on the glass plate. They had the glass plates for them, right? And so my husband leaned over and said, I could take a paper plate.
I feel
But
like that's
I
all. That's usually the sentiment when you're the younger of the couples in the room. But give it 5 years, 10 years. He gonna be expecting that glass plate.
girl, listen, I feel like I don't know why, but I feel like I know him so well at this point. I feel like he was still in about 5 or 10 years, that awkward moment, like, I could take a paper plate.
Mhm.
He's still gonna be
Mhm.
whispering that.
Oh yeah, he definitely would be the one to say if it's not enough to take one. But
Mm-hmm. But he gonna
if
be
it's
looking for.
there,
He
he
gonna
gonna
feel
want his
left
glass.
out.
If there's
He
one there
gonna feel
for
left
him,
out.
he gonna want his glass plate too.
So if the other men got their glass plates, he gonna feel so left out. But yeah, that
Yeah.
was a tradition in my family. Those are things that were instilled in us, showing love and compassion too. Because my
Hmm.
family does not shake hands, y'all. If you meet a cobra on the street, you better get ready. Brace yourself. COVID did damage to us. I think I shared that with you the other day, Kia. I said,
Yes,
COVID
yes.
hurt
We talked
us. It
about that.
hurt
Yeah.
because we are huggers, we are affection showers physically, like showing affection, hugs, and touch and things like that. And
Yeah.
it's so hard when you see a family member you haven't been able to see because of COVID, and then you get ready to hug them. So showing
And you
love,
hesitate. You're like, oh, should I? Maybe not.
right? Like to touch or not to touch, right?
Yeah.
So it's
Now,
like I
now,
had, huh?
go ahead. Go
Oh,
ahead.
I had the standard of faith, the standard of how I take care of my husband, and as well the, like you said, the way you present yourself when you walk out the house. That was big.
Hmm.
Yes, and I need to
Yes.
clarify because I see that now my mom is watching. So let me clarify.
Uh-huh. Mine
um.
was that we stick together.
Uh huh.
Definitely how you carry yourself and how you come out of the house. Um, my mom wasn't a big profanity user. Like if she didn't feel like a lady should be using profanity. But if you catch me off screen, I'm sorry. But
Girl, I was always told not to whistle.
oh,
I
now
was
see,
told
you
not to
know what?
whistle.
I never heard that. My husband told me that. I think my kids were whistling, and he was like, "They're not supposed to do that." And look, I had taught them how to whistle. I didn't know that was a real thing.
Bro, I was taught not to whistle. Ladies don't whistle, girl. We don't
Yeah,
whistle.
I had never, no, I never knew that one. Now let me tell you what, how you were saying how your family was so affectionate. My family was not. But let
Mm.
me tell you what, my mom was very big on honesty. Like, don't lie. Like that, just you want to send somebody crazy. And it's interesting though, because now I feel like because we were always meant to be so honest, sometimes we could come off as brutally honest. Like
That's
I
my
don't know when to
struggle.
turn it off.
I
I don't know when
struggle.
to turn it off. Like,
You tell me all the
well,
time. You be like,
yeah,
bro, how? Like, no, do you just made that, why did you talk to them like that? It's like,
yeah,
I was told to be nice. I'm saying what's on my mind because I gotta be honest. And then like, please somebody help me
yes.
with this. Like, it's like I gotta be nice and then I have to be honest. Bet. And that's how you end up
Hmm.
with me. You got me.
Yes,
So
yes.
Be honest,
Just
and if
nicely asking a question that makes everybody's skin crawl. Like, did she just ask me? I had time for this.
oh my gosh. So what about changes? Let's talk about as we've grown a little bit more with changes in your life as you've come into your own and things like that. Like, do they accept your changes? I know for me, I will always be little Marquita.
Mm,
It is definitely a lot when I'm like, okay, this is me and why I do what I do. I have my own rationale as to why I
yeah.
do what I do. I have come into this human here, and it's a series or a reflection of a series of decisions, not only decisions made for me, but decisions made by me. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
I'm a reflection of decisions that I have made over time. So as I have changed, I know that I do notice that I have that conflict. There are some times where it's accepted decisions that I'm making, sometimes where it's not. And it's like, okay, well, where did that come from? But it came from me. Like
Hmm.
nobody influenced that. Have you ever ran into
Yeah.
that where so and so is doing it? Are you doing that because so and so is doing it?
Yeah, I've never, because I feel like in my circle and in my family, my situation was so unique compared to everyone else's that I had to figure a lot of stuff out on my own.
Mm.
Or me and my husband and I had to say, okay, well, we're gonna do this like this. And then, like, through trial and error, if we had to alter or change certain things, like, we would. But like, even with my friends and things, like, my friends either don't have kids or their kids are much younger than mine. So my kids are older, so I had my kids first. So I was in a different point of life. So the things that I did for me and for my children and for my husband were always different than people who were close in my circle.
Mm.
So
So
if anything, I had to set a certain standard for. We had to set a standard for ourselves to say that, this is how we're going to carry ourselves. These are the things we're going to do as a family. And so I never really felt pressure to be like anyone else. Some things I did change, came with a little resistance from friends and family. But see, one thing my friends and family know about me is, like, once I've made up my mind, there's nothing you can say to change it. But they will start to pry and ask questions to get understanding as to why I'm doing certain things. For example, when I decided to homeschool my children, first
Blaine
of all, that was
Academy.
something that Blaine Academy, that was something that, us as melanated people was not common that you heard that of us doing that. And so my reason, I had to kind of explain to family and friends, like, my reasoning behind it. And my biggest reasoning was, like, just the schools that I had access to were not giving my children the type of education that they deserve. And at the time, I felt as though I could give it better.
Mm.
And that was just in a nutshell. It's a lot more to it than that, but in a nutshell, that's what it was. And after talking to friends and family, of course, they understood. And even if they were around and saw the types of things they did, they were like, "Oh, this is great." I had friends try to send their kids to me to homeschool, and I was like, "I don't know if you can
I'm
afford my tuition."
I'm gonna tell you right now, my niece was at Blaine Academy for a couple months.
Okay.
My niece was in Blaine Academy for a couple months, and they figured out she needed glasses.
Yes, because baby would have still been blind. I said, "Oh,
Oh
I know she
gracious,
wear
yes.
these glasses."
Listen.
But yeah,
But
so that part, yes and no. Like, I've never felt pressure myself to look like something someone else was doing, because there wasn't anybody close to me who was young, married with 5 kids in Florida. Like it was just our own unique situation we created.
they was probably young with 5 kids, but I don't know about the married part.
Well,
Mm.
I mean,
Well,
like, I didn't think about it until later on. Like, my
mm.
in-laws do have 5 children, but mm,
Listen, but what about friends? I can say that as I started to grow and become a little bit different,
oh,
that
absolutely.
I found that some friends or people, I shouldn't say friends because we definitely established what a friend was in a previous episode.
We
And
definitely did.
I could say that acquaintances or people who were in my circle at the time, um, they did not necessarily meet my newfound Marquita esque-ness with
Mm-hmm.
open arms, because as
Yeah.
I started to realize on my own, more or less, that I was my biggest cheerleader.
Mm-hmm.
And I started realizing that if I have someone in my corner who's not cheering for me or anticipating my success alongside me, that it wasn't worth having them in my circle.
That part.
And I only say that, and it's not because I need somebody to gas me up. I only say that because I know the type of friend that I am. And I know that I don't accept less from a friend present day. Like if Kia's saying she's not going to do something or she can't accomplish something, I'm not about to be like, you know what, bro, you're right. Maybe you
Mm.
can't. No, why are you saying you can't? Because I'm not about to just say, yes, you can, go do it. And then no.
Yeah.
But I will ask, why are you saying you can't? Why is this what you want to shoot? I just said that to you the other day. I was like, no, because
Mm-hmm.
every time you say you want to do this, you in a funky mood. So no.
Yeah.
you know? So
Yeah.
like, how about we
Hence
revisit
the
this
new
when you
hair,
not in a
guys.
what
Hence the
about
new
when you not
hairstyle, guys.
be like, we'll revisit this when you're not in a funky mood, okay?
Yeah.
Like, but we're not doing this while you're in a funky mood. And it's not about discouraging, it's about being that person to help someone else realize. I just needed that in a friend. I don't need you to call me at 2 in the morning, call me at 2 in the morning just to talk randomly, you know? Do I
Mm.
appreciate it? Yeah. Am I awake half the time? And so with that, it's like, understanding that for you, what friendship means makes your changes easy too in establishing who you are.
Yeah.
Would you not
I can
agree?
I can agree with that. I have had times where friends or associates or people in your circle, as you put it, have made me realize my identity even more because of, like, say they began to change or started doing some things or picking up habits that I wasn't necessarily interested in. Like, a lot of those relationships kind of went to the wayside, and it wasn't so much that I disagreed with how they were changing. It just I'm not going to force myself to be um okay in certain situations if I'm not. Like,
Right.
if I'm just more comfortable being left out, if y'all want to go do whatever it is you want to do, but it's not something I'm comfortable with because who I am, that's not how I roll, I'll just excuse myself.
Did you ever come to a realization that even though our moms told us when we leave the house that we represent them, did you ever reach a point, because I know I did, where when you walked out the house you realized I represent myself?
Absolutely.
So since I represent
Absolutely.
myself, I definitely need to get my stuff together. Just like we
Yeah.
don't come on this camera in front of y'all looking any kind of way.
No, we don't.
We don't come on here
It's a
looking any
whole
kind of way.
process
Yeah.
because we're trying to represent a
Right.
melanin
Period.
mindset, a mindset of excellence, not of, just anything.
Whole facts. And so I reached that point as well. And that came, a lot of this stuff has to do with transition. So to our viewers, let's go ahead and throw it out there to them really quickly. Was there a reckoning moment that you experienced where you realized you represented yourself? Like, it's not even about what others that are connected to you. It's about you representing yourself. About
Yeah.
what age? How about that? Is that a good question? About what
That's
age
a
were
good
you
question. About
when
what
you
age
had
did
that
you
reckoning?
realize that you represent you? And I want to remember the movie. What was it? The Devil Wears Prada.
I remember parts of that. I don't remember the whole thing. I've probably seen
Okay,
it
so
twice.
like there was a part where like the girl kind of came in and she was the lady's assistant, and the lady was of course high maintenance, designer clothes,
Mm-hmm.
very rich or whatever. And so she kind of, I can't even quote it for real how it went, but the girl who was the assistant was very frumpy, for lack of a better word. She had on like loafers, a little plaid skirt, little basic red scarf. And she said to her that even though, like you're not in these top designer clothes or whatever, you still made the choice and the decision to come out representing that way. Like you're still making a statement with your frumpy shoes and your little raggedy scarf, and you're still making a statement. So everything, when you step out of the house, so to speak, or when you put yourself in front of someone, you thought about how you're about to present yourself.
We're getting some answers to that question coming in. We got after college, when I graduated high school, I was 29, 30. Yes.
Okay.
So, Sophia, I'm with you. I was probably 30, 31. So I'm kind of close to where you are, Sophia, when I woke up and realized, I know y'all have seen it if you're on social media, even if you're not ready for the day, it cannot always be night. Okay.
Mhm.
There was a day, and I don't know, like I just got up and I had to be in my early 30s. I woke up, and when I got up, I thought to myself, when I looked in the mirror, like, where what are you doing? And it was
Yeah.
almost like I put myself together and got up and was just like, oh snap. Now if I go out anywhere, you better believe all of this looks like this.
Yeah.
Now I'm not
Yeah.
going to Publix like this, y'all, unless I go after we go live. And
Mm.
if you have been watching us for any length of time, you know that we end at 9:30 Eastern. So I would literally have to be running out of here after we're live. So in other words, I don't look like this at Publix often. But
Yeah.
if I'm going out, going to dinner, going anywhere, I look like this. This is how I will leave the house. I don't allow myself to go out and present myself a different way. So with
Yeah.
that, it's like it was my 30s too. Yeah, them 30s do hit different, Sophia.
The 30s definitely hit different. They definitely hit different. I even remember myself and another friend of ours. I feel like it hit us around the same time. We were different ages, but I just remember us both being like, I want to start really taking care of myself, getting my nails done, start doing my lashes and stuff, coming out looking decent, because you just like, you got to represent. And even like, for me, it probably was same around that same time, early 30s. For me, it was big because I was like, I'm out here a hairdresser trying to hand people cards. I can't look busted. I would be times where if I didn't feel like my hair looked nice enough and I could have really wanted to hand somebody a card, I would not. I would not. Even
Can I tell you?
I remember my kids' hair used to be jacked up. But like, if you go to school and anybody asks what your mama do, just tell them she a teacher. Because
I'm done.
my hair does not
Listen,
look like your mom's a hairdresser right now.
let me tell you how, however tragic this may be, it's true. I like how you said that you might run out in a bonnet to take the kids to school. Like I was at my husband's job, picking him up. Remember I told you I was sitting in the car and one of his coworkers knocked on the window and was like, "You about to get us in trouble because we be watching y'all show on Monday night." So we be in there like this looking at the show. And then when a truck comes, because my husband works at a truck stop, so he does security out there. So it's like when a truck comes, it's like we're just like, oh shoot, and so they're trying to put everything down. Y'all, I did not look Melanin
But when he
Mindset.
knocked on that happened to me before picking my husband up. One of his coworkers came and knocked on the window. I was devastated. I was trying to think if my tent was dark enough to just act like I'm not there.
Girl, he got me so bad. He just knock, 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 and I'm like, knock, knock, knock. And I'm looking out the window, and I had to bring the window down.
Yes.
And so, because the trucks are so loud, and I'm just like, he was like, "We gonna be in trouble because we be watching y'all." I was like, "Thanks."
And it's like you want to be excited and all in the conversation, but all you thinking is, please go away before you really know.
Please just walk away.
With how I look.
Listen,
right now.
It is 10:30. It is 10:30 at night. He was running a little bit late, and I'm sitting in the car on my phone, like scrolling through TikTok, y'all. I'm scrolling through TikTok on my phone, and this guy, and I'm like,
Not prepared. See, our mamas
I didn't look
told us to
nothing
be
like this.
prepared. Our
And
mamas
then,
told us to be
friend, my
prepared.
hair, you know my bun. She knows my bun, y'all. My
The
bun that
messy
I wear
one.
almost every day. And
The
I take
messy
this
one.
hair and I ball it up on top of my head. That is what I look like, y'all. When I say I will never come, not ready, like not, of course not face beat at 10:30. I'm not beating my face to pick him up from work. Don't get it twisted. But I mean, like, I wasn't dressed. I wasn't melanin mindset esque
At all.
at all. And I'm like, I could have been like, oh, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Nope, didn't say a thing. Thanks. Thanks.
Because
Rolls
now
window
you're
up.
just like, oh,
Thanks.
because now you're all in your head. Because, and especially if it's somebody you just meeting for the first time, and you're like,
Right.
dang. And he said he been watching the Melanin Mindset, so he's seen how you look on this screen, and he's like,
Oh.
he probably went back like, man, I thought I went to the wrong car.
And listen, to any of my husband's coworkers who are viewing who have said that I look nice, thank you so much. And friend, they compliment you as well. So this
Oh,
is
thank
this
you.
is what they get to see. They don't get to see me at 10:30 picking him up. And if they have seen me drop him off or pick him up, that's probably why they're saying what they're saying, because they've seen the bun and sweatshirt drop him off at work. Okay, they've seen it drop
Man.
him off at work. So when you start to look at those changes, because we are talking about who you are, that's what we're talking about today. To those who are just joining us, I see we have a good little number tonight viewing in with us, so thank you all so much for
Thank
watching.
you all for watching.
We talked about who you are. We're talking about identity, the fact of being who or what a person or thing is. And we've also addressed the influences. So were you taught to live up to a certain standard? Were you told to carry yourself a certain way? And just a few of the examples we gave were things like our moms taught us that when we leave the house, we represent them. We also talked about how, we rebelled just a tad, just a tad. And
Yeah.
Kia said her mom was scary. Girl, my mom was scary too. But so my
Like,
rebelling took place in my latter teens when it came to me leaving the house looking however I wanted to look. It
oh,
happened.
absolutely. Mine was definitely after I
Yeah.
was out of my mom's house.
It definitely happened around the time that I was buying my own clothes full time.
Okay.
That's the best way to word that. When I started buying my own clothes full time, okay, that's probably
Mm-hmm.
roundabouts where that rebelling and me forming an image came to be. And of
Yeah.
course, everyone's first image is the exact opposite of what you're told when you're growing up. Well, at least mine
Mm.
was. At least mine was. So when I first started putting my image together, it was definitely an opposing reflection of what was said.
I don't know about me. I think it might have been different, but not so much opposite.
Mm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Um.
My mom said, make sure you look
Make
good for
sure
your
you look
husband
good
or
for
your
your
man.
man.
She said,
Mm-hmm.
make sure you look good for your man. My mom used to, I'll close into.
Yes. Make sure you dressed when you
You
go to
never
the
know.
mailbox. You never
You
know who gonna
never
be out
know.
there.
Your mail carrier could very
Especially if you
well
live in
be.
one of them, and especially if you live in one of them neighborhoods with a mail, you gotta walk all the way to where all the mailboxes are.
Mm,
You better look
right?
decent walking
You
to the
better
mailbox.
get it together. Get it
Yes.
together. Don't go out there in your pajamas down to the street in your robe with your furries on.
No,
We
Just
see
because
we
you
see
want
you,
to get
Kanita.
take them rollers out your hair, you going to the
Mm-hmm.
mailbox.
Yep.
What's
We
wrong with
see you out
you?
there. So
Mm-hmm.
thank you. Listen, there she go, the other grandma. She said we
Uh-huh.
always look great. Thank you so much.
So let's talk, let's switch it up a bit, because this
Oh,
this one I feel like must have a lot to do with how people turn out, your environment, like
uh,
where you live, where you grow up, the type of things that go on around you, and even in the house. Like, how does that affect the person that you become?
mm, you mean in the sense of I grew up in a house, y'all don't. Ooh, They gonna come for me, Kia. I grew up in a house where my parents did not argue in front of us.
Oh wow. I mean, I feel like that generation, a lot of them didn't argue in front of the kids.
My parents did not argue in front of us. Like, if they were fighting or arguing, it was behind closed doors, separate from us. I remember I shared this story in Bible study one night where I went over to a friend's house and her mom said something and the dad yelled and I shivered. I was like
they about to throw down in front of us for real?
I was shooketh, okay?
Yeah.
I was shooketh. And I was looking like, and she's still gonna bring, ooh. And he, okay. And I sat there like, I think I should go home now. Now I see why my parents didn't let us stay at other people's house to eat dinner. You don't eat at everybody's table either. That's another one.
Oh my goodness, yes.
You don't eat at everybody's table.
Were you allowed to stay over people's house? Like go to sleep over?
I stayed over one friend's house my almost entire childhood. And my mom's viewing the night, so correct me if I'm wrong. I've spent the night at my friend's name that started with a J. I spent the night at my godmother's house once when I was little. But if they weren't blood related,
family,
no.
Though. I do feel like I've spent the night at family house, but like going to a friend's house for a sleepover, the only sleepover I remember going to was probably two. And one was my aunt, and it was all my cousins. And it felt like friends because they were cousins that I didn't know. But it definitely was family. And then the other friend lived, when I tell you, my mom looked out her front door, she looked into their front door. That was the only other person's house I spent the night at. She lived directly next door. We did not do the sleepover thing. And I didn't either. My kids could tell you they have never slept over anybody's house.
Yeah, we didn't sleep over. Like, I used to go, and I think I was probably 12 or 13 when my parents, they sent me to New York for the whole summer. I was probably 12 or 13. I went to New York for the entire summer to stay at my dad's sister's house. And it was the beginning of something awesome because I had never stayed more than like 2 nights, 3 nights away from home. And so when they let me go to Auntie Cheryl's house for the whole summer, they let me go the whole summer. And then they turned around and let it happen again the following year. Y'all, the remaining summers.
You were living your best life.
My best life. The remaining summers, all the way up until high school graduation, even my senior year. Y'all, senior year, I got appendicitis, had to have surgery, and it put me down. Right after graduation. My cousin is a nurse. They let me go still for that summer, even though I was 18 at that point. So it wasn't really no
this comment from Tanya. Yes. This is how I feel. Now, I feel like I didn't grow up environment wise, like neighborhood wise. No, it was not a great neighborhood. Would you be able to tell that if you knew me? No, because I didn't want to be what they call the stereotypical hood girl, so to speak, or something like that. And of course, let's talk about the fact that my mama wasn't having it at all. I see people who even try to portray that, like, even if they came from a home where, like, say, mom and dad didn't allow them to be ratchet, so to speak, then they might be away from mom and dad, then they want to portray that little hood side. Like, no, I've never had that. Now, I will say that if you push me far enough, you may find a little hood somewhere in me.
Whose line is that? Is that Tupac?
It's still not going to be, I don't think like I'm ratchet. I'm not about to be, while I'm cussing you out, none of that. Like, it's just, it don't even feel right.
You're not on sextuplets. You ain't about to be clapping. No, I don't have that in me either. And I definitely grew up in a small town. And then I ended up moving into a city called Altamont Springs. And again, we were still small town people living out there. But it's like, no matter whereabouts you we're from, and I could say that's pretty consistent for the most part with my cousins too. It didn't matter what environment we grew up in, we still definitely came through representing that standard that was set. We came
Yeah.
through to represent the standard. Jackie says, I found going to people's house made me appreciate my family and house better when I was a teenager. Jackie, a
I know
hundred
that's
percent.
right.
That's 100%, and I can say that because of what I said earlier, where I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I went over to that friend girl's house, and her dad yelled
Mm-hmm.
at her mom like that. I was like, oh, my daddy would never. Okay, I was like, my daddy would never. Okay, but you
Yeah.
can't say that kind of stuff to your friends. But that's what was going on in my head. I'm just like, my dad would never, like literally never, ever. Like, what's going on? Let's see.
Yes.
That's normal.
So
We all
I
have it.
yeah, I think as far as environment, I do feel like I've seen people though fall into the habits and of their environment. But I think for most of us, it just wasn't the case. Like I know for me, my mama just we weren't. I remember one time my mom's boss, she was working for the school district, and I think we used to go to my mom's job after work. We'd help her. She'd help us with our homework. And he told her, he said, you know, you're not like the average black family. Now, first of all, you like, you know, your initial reaction is probably like, well, what is that supposed to mean?
Like, what are you trying to say?
Exactly. And then I want to know how many black families you out here analyzing. But he was like, and then she asked him like, what do you mean? I don't remember word for word, but he mentioned stuff like, you know, you talk to your kids, you help them with their homework, and I know in my head I was kind of like, well, what is other black people doing with their kids? Because as far as I knew, you know, my mom did that, my friends' mothers did that. Like, who out here just not? But
Listen,
I guess it
my
is.
parents were
In
my
the
parents were
environment we
cautious
lived
too.
in, I'm pretty sure he saw a lot different.
Oh yeah, that's a fact. That's a big fact. Experiencing people being confused because I had so many siblings, and they were like, "Y'all got the same mama and daddy." Like,
Oh, that was very rare.
I never
I
understood.
still get that when people find out I have 5 kids.
I mean, when I say, "Yeah, we got the same parents,"
Mm-hmm.
and
Yes,
they're like,
we have the same parents. All of my kids have.
"Girl," and
Yes.
don't let them find out my parents still married. Oh gosh.
Mm-hmm.
So when we start making those changes, who do you think we were making those changes for? I can say I made those changes for myself. I felt like I deserved better.
Yeah.
I had to come to the realization I
You talking
deserved
about the
better.
changes we started making in the 30s?
Yeah, those
Oh,
changes.
absolutely. That was absolutely for self. That was absolutely for self.
Yes. So comment.
I know growing up, you know, being respectful was a big deal. Like being respectful to adults, and it caused me to hold back a lot because I think I'm just wired differently. My thoughts process, I couldn't figure out how to process the things I was thinking without it coming off disrespectful. So I held a lot in. And then as I became older and an adult, I learned how to express myself and stop holding those things in, because me holding certain things in was, you know, it being more harmful to me than helpful, you
Mm,
know?
yes.
So that was
Absolutely.
one of a big change I had to go through, was like speaking my mind and my truth without really, without first without being offensive, but really not even caring, but just doing it for me.
And see, I'm not that part, that bottom part you just gave, like
Hmm.
doing it and not being concerned about what others are thinking. I can
Yeah.
say that's something I still struggle with a little bit.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
I can make a conscious decision and be firm in my decision, sure of my decision, but there'll still be a small piece of me that's like, oh,
Mm,
is this what so and so would do? Or is this
yeah.
how such and such would do? It is
Or
definitely a
or
constant
also
battle.
that battle of hoping that they receive it right.
Right. Or that they see that you have no ill intent in making these
Yeah. And
adjustments.
see, I've gotten to a point in my life where I don't care. Like, I'll tell you that I don't have any ill intentions. But if you decide you still feel like you have ill intentions, guess what? That's your business. That ain't none of
Right.
my business. I heard it. I remember when I was teaching, this one, it was like a little messy thing going on where one student was asking this other student like, "Oh girl, tell me who," and my coworker said to her, "Now don't do that because you would be upset if someone was over here talking about you." And the girl said, "No, I wouldn't." Just a straight face. She said, "No, I wouldn't." She said, "Because whatever somebody got to say about me is none of my business." And like, I felt like my whole brain broke when she said it. Because I was like, and I had to think about it. Like, you're absolutely right. What you got to say about me behind my back and how you feel about me, it does not affect me. It doesn't change my life. It ain't gonna make my light bill go higher or lower. It's none of my business.
It won't put groceries in your pantry. That's not your problem.
That's
so true.
Business.
That's
girl,
so true.
And this little girl, she was so aggravating. But when she said that, I said, "Wow." That's how they let you know God will send messages through anything. Because I wasn't expecting something so profound to come from.
Shut up.
Never mind. I'm not gonna say that nice.
Just shut up. Just let it go. Let it go. Just let it go. Please just let it go. But yes, we would hope that people are making these changes for themselves. Now, when it comes to making changes that are not necessarily for yourself, it makes me think about one of the things on our list here, the whole code switching topic.
Oh, do you code switch?
I do.
Let me tell you about my friend, y'all. She is a professional. You should have a how-to guide on how to code switch to get what you want.
Oh boy.
One girl will be on the phone with me with every bit of slang, all of the jargon, talking, and get on the phone with somebody from work, and you're like, who is that? I mean, proper speaking, enunciating every vowel and syllable and letter, consonant and vowel in the word. I'm like, who is that?
Yeah, it happens. It happens. For me, I code switch at work. I'm gonna be real with you. I speak for a living. I'll just put it at that. I speak for a living. I work for a mainstream company and I train. So with them bringing new people into their business, well, I don't necessarily train so much, but either way, I train. And so, with them bringing people into their establishment, y'all, I can't get in there and be like, all right, everybody, welcome to class. You know, I can't do that. And it's not, I shouldn't say can't, because I can do whatever I like to do. But how long will I keep my employment speaking that way? You get what I'm saying? Like, I can't walk in there and speak using slang and the terms and the words that I use when I speak with my good friends.
But it's not even so much as the slang. Like, so I don't feel like I code switch. The only thing I would say I code switch is like I might use profanity more often in a non-professional situation than I do in a professional one. But I feel like my tone and stuff is pretty. I think my tone and the way I speak is pretty consistent.
Like when I speak with leadership, yeah, I do. I change my tone entirely. When I train my class, it's slightly different. I am a little bit more laid back, but I am very clear in the way that I speak. And the only way for me to do that is to change my speech entirely. Do you get what I'm saying? Like I have to adjust my speech altogether.
Honestly, I admire it. I just can't do it. My brain just doesn't work like that. If I do it once, the next time I'm going to sound completely different. So I cannot.
I tell all of my trainees, I always tell my trainees, I do not know the person who trains our class. That person knows this material somehow fluidly, and she comes and she speaks to you. It's kind of like that Beyonce Sasha Fierce thing. Okay.
So it's kind of like when the Holy Spirit takes over when you're working.
Yes.
But why the Holy Spirit got a different voice? The Holy Spirit got a whole other wavelength of sound.
Girl, I have to. This is the thing. At work, with me being in a stance where I have to educate people, I have to sound somewhat educated, and it's not necessarily saying that by using a more common tone or my natural voice or words that I can't sound like I'm educated. However, it's not a
Absolutely.
direct reflection of the prosperity at which I have obtained or the level in which I am headed. So with
Mhm.
that, it's kind of like for some reason my voice, and I mean, it's not like it's a little change either. That's the funny part. I can't imitate it. It just happens.
And
It
I
just
mean,
happens.
here's the thing. I can't say that um like it's right, it's wrong, because like you said, I've watched you accelerate in your job and do great things, whereas me, I can't work for other people. So maybe that's part of it. I just, maybe that's part of why, because I'm not about to sit up here and be fake with y'all. No, Sheila is rude. I don't care how professional she sounds. Sheila need to stop being rude. Monica, no, you need to clean up after yourself.
Oh
I'm
my
tired of like
gosh.
out the microwave behind you. And I'm
Now,
not going to say
now
it in a
hold on.
professional way.
When I'm not, that's the thing too. I need to make that clear. When I'm training a class, then yes, I sound with that voice that Key is talking about. But
Yeah.
when I'm communicating with coworkers and just walking through when I used to work on site, no, I spoke just like I'm talking to y'all right here, right now. That's how I
Yeah.
talk to people. So I would check Sheila for heating up
See,
that
no,
fish
see,
after
and
we put a
maybe
sign
I'm
up
just
that said not
maybe
to.
I'm just having PTSD from my last job where everybody was so fake. It was ridiculous. It was
Mm,
it was a very toxic environment where it was
mm.
you know you started something,
Make
and
it
then
plain.
you turn into the victim, but then you sound all sweet and professional as you're the victim. Like, no, don't do that.
Oh, I know
Don't do
where you're
that.
headed. I just
Don't
caught
do
where you
that.
was headed. Message received,
Mhm.
and we're gonna go on and let it rock.
Okay.
So, what about authenticity? As we come to a close tonight, authenticity. What comes to mind when you think authenticity? To our viewers out there, you all have really hung with us tonight. What are your thoughts when I say authenticity? Like, what are you thinking? Can you be authentic or get your message across by being your natural self? I can definitely get my message across being my natural self.
Yeah.
But the thing is that I know that in certain situations, I might need to slow my tone to make sure they can learn. So that's at work. I have to slow my tone. So I think that voice might come out because I'm trying to slow down and make sure I enunciate and I speak clear so that it's all virtual. So I have to be able to reach them. But
Yeah.
do you all think that you can come across well as your authentic self? She said, I speak like my dad without the big words. See, my mama ain't had no deep conversation with me lately, y'all, because, I got words, okay? I've got words. I have a whole vocabulary full of words.
Yes.
But but yes. Oh, look at this. It says being true to yourself, and yes. Oh, so you can definitely, let me see. I definitely do. I've got all the time. I've got real. Yes, so
Yes.
you can reach someone by using your authentic voice.
Yes.
Okay. Uh-oh, here we go. I
There's a
like
very
this one.
intensity to my message when I speak from a place of authentic. There is there,
It
and
is.
people can feel that. People can feel when you're being authentic, and people can feel the opposite, because it. I know me, and I don't know if I'm just becoming older and all of a sudden I decided to get ADHD. But if you're not being authentic, I will check you out real quick. Like, I'll just stop listening. I can
You
look
talked
like I'm
about that
still listening, but I have the ability to go, yeah, oh really, and not hear a word. Like,
and
not
tune it
even
all the way
joking.
out.
Like, not, I can tune you all the way out. Because if
Absolutely.
you're not being authentic with me, I don't feel like I should even turn that part of my brain on to listen.
You don't deserve that level of access to me at this point. I want to make one more thing clear about the code switching. Did you there are different ways you can code switch. There's like I may speak with more slang in a casual situation, but at work use a more professional tone, but at no point does my authenticity change. because I
Yeah.
still deliver my message. I still present myself. My tone is just a little bit different. So
Oh,
keep that in mind.
let me ask you this right quick. Because you married to a Haitian man. When you talking to his people, do you ever change or mess up your English just because you're speaking to somebody from another country? Because I don't know why this bugs me. Like, I hear my husband do it. He works with a lot of people of Hispanic descent. And I'm like, stop, don't do that. Like, they're never going to say it right if you keep saying it to them the wrong way.
Okay, so I don't mess up I don't mess up my speech, but I definitely do cut it a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. When I speak with anyone who has a more dominant accent, I do find myself kind of cutting the way that I might say something. Like I may say something to you and use all the words that I can think of to be sure I'm
Yes.
clear and explain. But
Yes.
instead, I might say, yellow cat. Instead of telling you, I'll be like, girl, the cat was yellow with such flowy hair and it had a few specks of brown. No, the cat was yellow. So it's not necessarily me. I don't break my English, but I definitely cut the English. Like I don't use so many words to get to the point.
Okay. I
So
feel like I purposely, that's when I code switch. My English gets so pristine when I'm speaking to someone who has an accent because I feel like I can help you understand better how it should sound when it comes out of your mouth.
I'm not dealing
But
with you. I'm
that
about
is
to take
one
these
time
headphones off. I'm not dealing with you.
that is one time that I consciously do it. Like when I'm speaking to my in-laws, I consciously do not try to change how I'm speaking because I'm speaking to them.
Now,
Like,
when I speak with my mother-in-law, I do stimulate more conversation because I know that English is not her first language. So when I
yeah,
do speak with my mother-in-law, I try to stimulate more conversation. No, I'm not going to elaborate and things like that, but I will definitely stimulate more conversation because I don't speak Creole and she speaks Creole as her primary language. So,
yes,
not saying she can't speak English because she definitely speaks English, but I'm
yeah.
saying like I will stimulate or urge her to talk more. Like we'll
Hmm.
sit. Like last time when she came to visit, we literally sat for like what 3 hours, almost 4 hours, just
Yeah, that's
talking, just
good.
talking and talking and talking. And it was just because I try to stimulate more conversation so that she gets more comfortable just flat out speaking English to me. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like there's times when
Hmm.
she would walk past me in the kitchen, girl. I was in the kitchen and she walked up and just straight up started speaking Creole. I was like,
Yes,
Mommy, I don't understand.
yes.
I
I do
don't
not understand.
understand.
Could you try again, please?
Like pause,
And
rewind,
it's
back it up.
only because they've gotten so comfortable with us, and their native tongue is their comfort, and that's what sometimes comes
Right,
out first. So
right. And I love how
I
you
let
said because
my
I'm
father-in-law
married to a
have a
Haitian man, but
he'll
you
have
married
a
to a
whole
Haitian man
conversation.
too.
Yes, I am. My father-in-law will have he'll say a whole statement in Creole, and I'll go like this. And then he'll start laughing because he realizes he said it in Creole. And I was like, are you going to say it again in English now?
I don't even see you say that. I don't even like when she walked up and wasn't speaking English. I was just like,
Mm.
and she looked at me and she's like, oh, and she realized what she had did and she started speaking English. I was just like, well, thank you so
Yeah,
much for joining the conversation. Um,
exactly.
For the topic of code switching, let us know down in the comments. Do you think it's necessary to make these adjustments? So, like how Kia said, when we speak to someone who has a different language, or when we speak to someone,
I think we all have been
Kia,
guilty of this at one point or another.
I'm trying to ask the people, and you putting Stan's comments up on the screen.
Let me tell you who I know that does that. Let me see if I get it right on the screen. Let me point to somebody I know who does that.
Me?
Absolutely. You do it and you don't even realize you're doing it.
Anyway, my question for the viewers tonight. Do you think it's necessary? So, say you're at work and you perk up your tone to communicate. Do you feel like that's necessary when you're in the workplace? Do you feel like it's necessary to make the adjustments if you're guilty of cutting your language when you speak with someone whose native tongue is not English? Do you feel like that was necessary for the success of the conversation? Like I said, I may not elaborate or use so many extra words. Um, but I will find myself cutting a little bit of what I'm saying, but not to dumb it down per se, as not to make it more detailed than it has to be. Let's see here. I had a coworker who used her native tongue, and I would tell her that I don't speak Creole.
I don't speak Creole.
I missed part
People
of it
like to
there,
talk.
and she would if I talk like this.
Is it now? I'm kind of scrolling through everybody who I see
Oh,
that's watching. Is it a melanin thing? Is it only something that we do, or do other people do it too? Like, just like we were talking about people with heavy accents. Like,
mm.
I don't feel like they're speaking to me with an accent and putting on their professional voice. Is that something that only we do? But if you hear your black girlfriend, if you hear any black girl or black guy get on the phone and their voice changes, you be like, oh, he must be talking to somebody from work.
Right. Oh, girl.
But is it a melanin thing? Is it just us? That's what I want. Does everybody do that?
That's a good question. Do you feel like it's a cultural thing that we make adjustments or accommodate other people when we communicate? Because that thing is bigger than just the basic what we expect to call code switching. That's a little bit bigger because think about it. Is it a cultural thing for us, or is it like something that's predominantly connected to us as melanated individuals? You
Mm-hmm.
know, do people of less melanin with less melanin do that too?
Do they
That's the
do
best way for me to
too?
word that. If you have
But
less melanin, you find yourself calling your friends out, maybe a friend who doesn't have as much melanin, right? Do you call them out when they get on the phone with somebody, or
and
is that
code switch.
just
Do
Becca's
they code
voice?
switch?
I
Or
said Becca. I'm
Becca? Or is that
mm,
just how Becca talks all the time?
that
Does
could
she
just be
always?
Becca's voice.
It could be. I don't know. Interesting.
I know for certain that there is an Ashley that answers my phone when my job calls. But Marquita talks to everybody else.
I'm so done. So when you answer the phone, you Ashley.
Yes. Now my students, my trainees, they dubbed my customer service voice and they called
Mhm.
her Candy.
I'm so done.
They named her Candy. And I'm gonna tell you, the only reason I accepted it was because that was the time that they named my customer service voice Candy was the same year I lost my cousin Candy. So they named it Candy. And I was just like, you know what? That's cool. My customer service voice name is Candy. I'll take it. Right. And
Yeah,
so it's definitely interesting. We're getting some responses coming through. Look at our
I
culture
do.
and you find other people from other cultures acting and speaking like us. That's true. We can
That's
find
true.
different ways where our culture is carried across. Maybe instead of
Mhm.
Becca becoming, Emily on steroids, Becca becomes Marquita when she talks to someone on the phone. Yeah. Yeah. She said, when I answer the phone, I'm Jacqueline. And when I speak to my coworkers, I'm
Jacqueline.
Jackie.
I'm Jackie.
Listen, I can't not say who is Jackie. It's Jackie. Let me
Yeah,
see. Listen, I'm gonna tell my
I
tones.
have been told that what Larry said. I have been told that my kids say they can tell who I'm talking to on the phone by how I'm talking.
I've been told that.
Now I
I've been
don't
told.
know, but my kids will say, like, sometimes they'll know who I'm talking to, probably based on the things I say. But they say, "Oh, she must be on the phone with Marquita. Oh, she must be on the phone with this person, that person." They know who I'm on the phone with if they listen long enough.
Mm, yeah, that's yeah. You can definitely tell that. You can definitely tell that. Oh my gosh, chameleon skills. I'm done. I'm done.
Yes,
So,
yes.
with that being said, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in with us this evening. If you have not already, go ahead and smash that like button and go ahead and subscribe. Hit share because somebody can watch it on the playback. But today we talked about who are you. I know you are ready to know what we're talking about next week. Okay. How many of you all are looking to find out what the conversation will be next week? Go ahead and comment down below and let us know if you're excited to find out what we're going to talk about next week. I feel like next week we might ruffle a few feathers, friend. What do you think?
I think I don't know if we're gonna ruffle some feathers, but I'm pretty sure. Let's just say everybody gonna have something to say.
Oh, they gonna have something to say. We got some eyeballs coming up in
I
the
think
chat.
everybody's gonna have something to say about what we're talking about next week.
Oh yeah, listen, even if you are not married, you will probably still have an opinion for next week. If you are newly married, you will have an opinion for next
You
week.
will
If you've been
definitely have
married,
an opinion.
if you've been married for years and years, you will have something to say. Let me tell you why this is something we know you're going to have some input on. I told my mother what we were talking about next week, and she said not only will she be here, but she is going to gather my aunts together, and they will all be here for next week.
We will
So if
all
you
be
want to
together next
know,
week.
listen, if you want to know what we're going to be talking about next week, go ahead and drop a comment down in the chat. We are looking. I like ruffling feathers. Let's do it. Oh my gosh. Drop a
Yes.
comment in the chat. Let us know where you're viewing from. We are starting to come to the end. We are going to share with you all what we're going to talk about next week. We're just looking to see who all we still have engaging with us, and we will drop that information. Kia, are you about ready to reveal it? I'm about ready to reveal it. I'm excited.
I'm about ready to reveal it.
Listen, I'm excited. She down there, say it, say it.
She's
Listen.
like, oh Lord, I'm scared.
Oh my gosh. Next week, we are going to be fully transparent and we're going to be sharing some heavy opinions and thoughts. Next week, we are going to be talking about the submissive wife.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all, next week, we're going to talk about the submissive wife.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
I don't even want to give nothing away. This just
We're
gonna be.
not. We are
This just gonna
literally
be
just going to say the submissive wife is what we're discussing. And we are going to be saying, are you refusing to be or are you unable to be? So
yes.
please tune in next week if you want to hear us talk about the submissive wife. And for those of y'all who have been watching us since episode 1, for those of y'all who have been watching us from episode 1, please know you are going to be in the running for a giveaway at episode 10. We are going to
Yes.
be gifting you something special. We are going to be drawing a name. We're going to be picking a person who we have seen consistently viewing with us every single week from the start. We are up to episode 6 that we're closing right now, everyone.
Yeah.
For those who have been here with us, I'm telling you, I said this to her last week. I was like, friend, we about to do episode 5, girl.
Yeah.
We about to do episode 5. And now we just closed out on episode 6. Next week is episode 7, The Submissive Wife. And we are streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter at 5:30 p.m. Eastern time. Oh, Pacific, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Talking about the submissive wife. Are you refusing to be a submissive wife? And this is not just for the ladies. We're asking for the men to come out too. And please know that we will be.
We want to know what they think a submissive wife is.
Right. We want to know what you all think that means because we're going to be telling you what we think it is and what we think. Because, of course, this is the Melanin Mindset. Right, friend?
Yes, it is.
All right. So we'll be here next week to share our opinions with you. We are hoping you'll join in to share yours with us. Thank you so much for tuning in. Our tip of the week this week, remember to check on yourself because sometimes we forget that we are the most important to us. Until next week, you got anything to say, friend?
Give yourself a hug.
I can't deal. Thank you so much again.
Hug yourself. Love yourself.
And tell somebody that you love them. You never know. It could be too late next week. If
Yes.
you haven't yet hit share, give it to someone who you care about. We'd love for them to tune in as well. So until next week, everyone, thank you so much and have a happy holiday. Oh, wait, we got some tips in our outro today. So go on and check that out. So if you're interested in something for the holiday season, but we're going to be bringing information on some of our favorite gifts in this coming week.
Y'all, and I'm actually in the holiday spirit this year, and I'm usually not, but I'm very excited this year.
Yes. So thank you again so much for tuning in and watching The Melanin Mindset. Have a good night.
Looking to kick off a little healthy competition this holiday season? Pick up any of these 3 games. They're on the top of our list this season. Enjoy the holidays, Mindset family.